Sternritter M the Miracle Gerard Valkyri was one of the last men standing, as he had remained undefeated until the very end of the 1000-year Blood War arc. His several battles against the combined might of the Gotei 13 and the Vizards had proven just how much miraculous power that Gerard actually has. While Gerard had a lot of opportunities to showcase his abilities, there are still fans who believe that his final battle within the manga was rushed. Gerard inherits a very important part of the Soul King, as he is the retainer of the Soul King's heart. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down and analysing everything that there is to know about Gerard Valkyrie's character as we continue my Bleach character analysis series. I'm going to be delving into key elements of his character, as well as understanding the meaning behind his powers and abilities, and uncovering the details behind his unique appearance, as well as whatever details that we can ascertain about Gerard's past from the pages of the Bleach manga, the light novels, and some very exclusive details revealed on Kubo's official fan club Club Outside. So without further delay, here is my video analysing one of the most powerful members of Yhwach's elite Schutzstaffel. This is my Gerard Valkyrie character analysis. Discover the Undead Collection and be amongst the very first to join us on our journey over at getsuga.com. Gerard Valkyri makes his debut appearance within chapter 599 of the manga and in the 14th episode of the Bleach 1000-year Blood War arc anime. Gerard is a member of Yhwach's Schutzstaffel, who are designated as the top 4 members of the Sternritter. According to Kubo's notes at the end of volume 73, the visual motifs of the Schutzstaffel are each based off of different eras of war. While Kubo doesn't specify which character represents what era of war, we can deduce that Gerard Valkyri is based on the medieval era of war. This is credited to his incredible character design, which closely resembles that of a Nordic warrior. In the 1000-year Blood War arc anime, we first see Gerard when Yhwach appoints Uryu as his successor, but in the manga he appears first when Yhwach invades the royal palace from chapters 599 to 603. Gerard has the letter M as his shrift, which gives him the very unique ability called the Miracle. Within chapter 656 we find out that Gerard and Pernaida are the only Quincy who were not granted shrift abilities by Yhwach. This is because they were born with their own unique shrift powers already before Yhwach had a chance to grant them one. Within the first volume of the Can't Fear Unworld light novel, there is a passage which states that Gerard is in fact the retainer of the Soul King's heart. This means that he was chosen to host the heart of the Soul King, similar to how Ukitake was hosting Mimihagi, the right arm of the Soul King. Gerard's physical appearance is a combination of both historical and modern influences. It's evident that his character design is inspired by Norse mythology. Not only does he look like Thor from the Marvel universe, but his last name Valkyrie is also inspired from Norse mythology, as a Valkyrie is described to be a female figure who guides the souls of the dead to Valhalla. When the Schutzstaffel are first revealed to be invading the royal palace, Gerard is seen to be wearing a long hooded white cloak, which appears to be fastened at the front, and there is a dark red Hagal rune on the left hand side of his cloak. Under Gerard's mask he has black horizontal M-shaped marks which cover the sides of his face, and he wears a thin black braid around his scalp. In terms of his personality, Gerard is very impulsive. We see this in chapter 599 when he rushes towards Senjumaru in order to attack her. Gerard is pretty confident in his own powers and abilities, as he appears to be completely unfazed when Senjumaru summons a massive guard in order to fight him. Gerard is characterized by his aggression and the taunts that he gives to his opponents. Even when Gerard was confronted by a group of lieutenants in chapter 647, he appeared to be unfazed, as he had told all of them to attack him at the same time, otherwise they were not going to stand a chance against him in a one-to-one fight. Gerard's overconfidence extends to the point that he declares himself to be the greatest and mightiest Quincy within chapter 668. Gerard has a great deal of respect for Yhwach. We see this when he scolds Lil Barrow for killing and leaving Senjumaru's corpse in Yhwach's way. In chapter 600 he orders Lil Barrow to clear up the mess immediately. There are moments when Gerard appears to be caring and and considerate towards his allies when we see him catch Pernida after it had fallen off of the royal palace. But on the other hand, he was quite harsh to the newly recruited Schutzstaffel member Askin, as in chapter 599 he had promised to Askin that he was going to kill him if he dares to fall behind in battle. Gerard's powers and abilities are also inspired from Norse mythology, with his ability to transform into a giant form being based off of the Titans from Norse mythology. The Titans were a race of giants who were descended from the very first primordial being known as Ymir. Attack on Titan fans will be very familiar with this character known as Ymir, and how she is the origin of all of the Eldians who have the ability to transform into a Titan. Gerard's holy form is called Noble Warrior of God. Like all other Quincy in their holy form, his ability to manipulate spirit particles is greatly enhanced. A holy form is the ultimate form of a Quincy. We typically see the Quincy conjure two wings and a halo made up of spirit particles. Earlier I mentioned that Valkyries carry fallen warriors into Valhalla. This is a place where chosen warriors constantly fight each other to the death, to the point that they are continuously revived so that they can battle once more. Gerard is effectively living like he is in Valhalla, as he is able to fight to the fullest of his ability without dying, and after each strike that he absorbs, he appears to get stronger as a result of it. In terms of the manga, the key details about Gerard's backstory are revealed within chapter 656, where we learn that Gerard and Pernida were not bestowed with a Shrift ability by Yuhabak, as they were born with Shrift powers from birth. Because of these innate powers that they had, rumors of them being the left hand and the heart of the Soul King had spread amongst the Sternritter. Instead of granting them a Shrift power, Yuhabak had instead decided to give a name to each of their respective powers. Gerard was given M for the miracle, while Pernida was given C for the compulsory. Within Can't Fear Your Own World, Lil Toto refers to Gerard as the trusted retainer of the Soul King's heart. Gerard makes his debut appearance within the manga when the Royal Guard faces off against the Schutzstaffel. Gerard showcases his abilities by engaging in battle with Senjumaru as he wields his blade known as Hoffnung. With his weapon, he makes quick work of Senjumaru. It's not too long after this that we learn that the Zero Division had created a false royal palace in order to lure Yuhabak and his army and trap them within Kiryo Hikifune's Cage of Life. Gerard refers to the cage as a strange and vile technique. When Nimaya stands before the Schutzstaffel, Gerard jumps into action and strikes towards him, but Nimaya suddenly cuts down Gerard within seconds. When it comes to the manga, Gerard is out of the picture until he is revived by Yuhabak's ability Ashvalan. But in the anime, within episodes 25 and 26, the battles between the Royal Guard and the Schutzstaffel is actually expanded upon via some exclusive scenes. There were several changes done which I've covered on my channel, like the reveal of Senjumaru's Bankai. So much new material was added to the anime, so I definitely recommend that you check out my video detailing how Core 2 of the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime had fixed the Zero Division. So the anime actually changes the sequence of events, as Gerard ends up being trapped within Senjumaru's Bankai after he is revived by Yuhabak. Now, we're not going to know what happens until Core 3 of Bleach releases later in 2024, but Gerard appears to be sealed within a cloth as he is surrounded by an Arctic environment. This of course foreshadows Gerard's future battle against the mature form of Hitsugaya's Bankai. Now, turning back over to the events of the manga, after Yuhabak revives himself using the power of the Almighty, he is able to quickly defeat Ichibei and then march on towards the Palace of the Soul King. After Ichigo and company arrive to stop Yuhabak and Ichigo comes face to face with Uryu, it's at this moment that Gerard appears with the other members of the Schutzstaffel. Gerard expresses his disappointment due to the fact that he had expected an army to greet them instead of just Ichigo, Orihime, Yoruichi, and Ganju. Uryu then proves that he is useful to the Quincy by saying that the Schutzstaffel don't need to intervene, as he then shoots Ichigo off the royal palace, much to Gerard's approval. In chapter 621, we see Gerard and the Schutzstaffel temporarily taken aback by Yuhabak's appearance after he absorbs both Mimihagi and the Soul King. This releases a massive torrent of power which isn't going to harm any of the Schutzstaffel. This is because the true enemies of the Soul King are none other than the Shinigami. So after Yuhabak absorbs the Soul King, the next time that we see Gerard and the Schutzstaffel is within chapter 625. They appear to be lounging around the royal palace due to the fact that they are avoiding getting swallowed up by Yuhabak's power. Gerard begins to reassure Uryu when he notices that he is concerned about something, as he tells him that Yuhabak will be done absorbing the Soul King at any moment now, and he's going to grow much stronger stronger. When the Schutzstaffel arrive within the chambers of the Soul King, they discover Yhwach, who is completely covered in a black mass, which is the Soul King's power. The Schutzstaffel members appear to be unsettled by Yhwach's new transformation, but he reassures them that there is nothing to fear. The top of the Soul King's palace then begins to crumble as it can no longer contain Yhwach's new power. In chapter 629, Gerard and the Schutzstaffel are present when Yhwach rebuilds the royal palace into his own fortress called Wahrwelt. This of course is the new headquarters of the QUINCY, and it is constructed on top of the royal palace, and it's been made from the ruins of Silburn. In chapter 630, a messenger informs Hashwald that Gerard and the Schutzstaffel have gone to different parts of Wahrwelt in order to confront the invading Shinigami. In chapter 635, we see Gerard looking around Wahrwelt for opponents. It's quite a funny moment as he keeps running into dead ends and he curses the other Schutzstaffel members for giving him the short end of the stick. In chapter 647, Gerard finally finds some opponents as the Shinigami have made it all the way up to Wahrwelt. He declares that if any of them wish to move on, then they will have to defeat him. When Renji attempts to take out Gerard using Zabimaru, the QUINCY arrogantly gloats about how they have no chance of defeating him in a one-on-one battle. The fight against Gerard really begins in chapter 655 when he begins to talk about miracles. He asks his opponents whether if they know about when a miracle occurs. He goes on to explain that miracles don't just happen at ordinary moments, as he then congratulates the Shinigami on injuring him. None of them have any idea about what Gerard is talking about, but the QUINCY elaborates that a miracle is miraculous because it occurs when all hope seems lost. Byakuya interrupts Gerard by then wounding him once again. As the Shinigami believe that they have defeated him, Gerard appears to have enlarged himself by using his Shrift ability. The QUINCY is now towering over them as he proclaims that his Shrift is M, which stands for the miracle. It's pretty obvious, but this power allows Gerard to manifest miracles upon himself as he is able to bring to life his feelings, thoughts, and even the desires that he has for himself and those that are around him. Gerard continues to intimidate the Shinigami by throwing buildings towards their direction, chasing them in the rubble, and then taunting them about their helplessness. Hiyori and Hachi join the battle against Gerard in chapter 658, but even they are unsure about what kind of a monster that they are going to be up against. Gerard appears bored by his easy victory, and he states that fighting against the Shinigami is nothing more than child's play. He thinks to himself that even Captain Class Shinigami are powerless before his miraculous abilities. He then boasts about how their Reiatsu is so tiny that he can hardly see it. Then suddenly Gerard smashes the building where Hiyori and Hachi have been hiding, as he explains how it is impossible to hide from him. He continues to talk as Hiyori puts on a hollow mask and fires a Sero towards his direction, but Gerard brushes it off and states that it will take a lot more than that to defeat him. The QUINCY is then taken by surprise by the combined power of Hachi, Love, and Lisa as they attack him all at once using various different Kido spells. Despite a very large explosion, it doesn't even leave so much as a scratch on Gerard. But then new challengers arrive on the battlefield as Gerard is suddenly frozen in place by the Zanpakuto of Hitsugaya. In chapter 659, Gerard easily breaks the ice that is covering his arm and he smashes the area where Hitsugaya was standing. The captain of the 10th Division dodges Gerard's attacks before he activates his Bankai and covers the QUINCY's entire body in ice. Chapter 666, we see Gerard break free from the icy prison. This surprises Hitsugaya because his Bankai wasn't enough to stop Gerard for more than a brief period of time. Gerard then attempts to crush both Hitsugaya and Byakuya, but his arm is immediately cut into two by Kinpachi. Gerard instantly regenerates his arm, much to the surprise of everyone apart from Kinpachi. Hitsugaya attempts to intervene and stop Kinpachi from attacking further, but this is when Gerard stomps on them with all of his might. But this isn't enough to destroy Kinpachi, who merely topples Gerard over into the buildings that are nearby. When Kinpachi fails to land any damage on Gerard's shield, he then activates his Shikai and begins to battle against the QUINCY. Once Kinpachi releases Nozarashi, he manages to chip Gerard's blade, but not without sustaining a large cut to the chest. When Kinpachi realizes that blood is pouring out of his body, he wonders what had happened. Gerard takes the opportunity to explain that the miracle has the power to manifest the desires and feelings of people. It is the fear of individuals that makes Gerard's indestructible body enormous, and the hopes of the people are brought together to form his sword Hoffnung. When Gerard's sword is broken, it embodies despair itself. Captain Hitsugaya states that he has no idea what Gerard is talking about, as he notes that his abilities just defy all logic. Kinpachi Kinpachi rushes to the conclusion that all he has to do is to defeat Gerard without breaking his sword. The two of them once again clash as Gerard mocks Kinpachi for not realizing the gap in their strength. It becomes apparent that the two of them complement each other well in battle, but unfortunately Gerard gains the upper hand before he swiftly strikes Kinpachi into the ground. Meanwhile, Hitsugaya and Byakuya are trying to launch a surprise attack of their own on the Quincy, but Gerard manages to intercept the petals of Senbonzakura in the air as he then smashes his sword into Hitsugaya. He states that he has seen the two of them scheming to attack him and then proclaims that he is the biggest, strongest and fastest Quincy who has been bestowed with everything. He warns the Shinigami not to think about trying to outwit him. When Kinpachi activates his Bankai, Gerard seems to be disappointed at his appearance. The Quincy proceeds to attack Kinpachi with his fist as he declares that Kinpachi and his broken blade are not even worthy of being attacked by his Hoffnung. The battle takes a surprising turn when Gerard's arm is torn off. Kinpachi appears to have lost all of his senses as he leaps into the air and strikes the Quincy again. This time Gerard has his left forearm cut off along with half of his shield. Kinpachi then punches Gerard in the chin as it sends him flying towards the edge of the city. Gerard is completely confused about Kinpachi's power as he then suddenly gains a pair of wings and flies back towards Wahrwelt. While in his holy form, Gerard appears to be visibly upset as he states that a Shinigami overpowering him should never have been allowed to occur. It seems like Gerard has reached the limits of his patience as he proclaims that Kinpachi was foolish to have not run away sooner. In chapter 670, Kinpachi cuts Gerard in half, splitting him vertically from head to toe. Gerard's two halves then begin to fall as they suddenly fuse back together as he activates his completed form. Gerard's completed form appears to activate from his blood thanks to him being the wielder of the Soul King's heart. Kinpachi in his Bankai form then fails to attack Gerard once again as his arm tears apart under the raw power of his Bankai. Gerard then smashes Kinpachi into the ground and he destroys the nearby building which Hitsugaya was standing on. In chapter 671, Hitsugaya undergoes an unprecedented transformation as he activates the completed form of his Bankai. Gerard is confused about this new form, but he brushes it off and states that his new transformation will not make a difference, aside from making Hitsugaya slightly more of a worthy opponent to face off against now. Gerard fires his shield towards Hitsugaya, but he freezes it effortlessly. The Quincy attempts to attack again, but Hitsugaya cuts through the blade of Hoffnung very easily. He states that Gerard's blade will no longer work because it is frozen. This leads to Gerard summoning his Quincy bow, but Hitsugaya quickly gains the upper hand as Gerard is frozen solid by Shikai Hyoketsu. Suddenly Gerard breaks free of the ice that he is trapped within and he grabs Hitsugaya as he loudly proclaims that he will not freeze because he is a soldier of God who cannot be defeated by the mere elements of this world. Gerard threatens to crush Hitsugaya when he is suddenly toppled to the ground by Kinpachi, and Byakuya follows up by utilizing a secret technique of his Bankai called Ika Senjinka in order to fire multiple blades into Gerard's head. This effectively destroys his head as the rest of his body is frozen by Hitsugaya's Bankai and it is then shattered. But in a surprising twist, Gerard manages to regenerate after this and he gains a new form in chapter 680. Gerard continues to go on battling Byakuya and Hitsugaya when he is suddenly hit by the light of Ashwalan. Yuhobak then strips him of his flesh and power all the way down to his bone as he ends up killing Gerard. This is the moment where fans had felt slightly robbed of a satisfactory conclusion to the character of Gerard. The light of Ashwalan just suddenly appears out of nowhere and it just really feels rushed, like Kubo didn't have enough time to give Gerard a proper send-off. I guess this abrupt end still works in the sense that it makes Yuhobak look like a tyrant, somebody who doesn't care about his underlings and is willing to sacrifice them for the sake of his selfish pursuits. On Kubo's official fan club, Club Outside, we do get to learn a bit more details about Gerard's Shrift ability. A fan had asked Kubo that Gerard's Shrift M the Miracle allows him to take any injuries that he has sustained and to swap them out for a power-up. When Gerard was cut in half by Kinpachi's Bankai, something similar to a Quincy cross had come flying out of his head. The fan wonders whether if this is Gerard's core, as they then go on to ask Kubo that if this had been destroyed, then would Gerard have been defeated? Kubo once and for all answers that if the Quincy cross in Gerard's head was destroyed, then the Quincy would have ceased to exist. However, it is reiterated that something powerful would have been needed in order to destroy this cross, as it's brought into question whether if even Kinpachi's Bankai was capable of destroying it. I have made videos on my channel theorizing that the true power of Kinpachi's Bankai is the ability to cut through anything. So if Kinpachi did notice the Quincy cross, then I'm sure that he would have been able to destroy it with his Bankai. I have a separate video going over all of this in depth on my channel where I explain everything that there is to know about the miracle, so I definitely recommend that you guys check that video out. Kubo really went all out with the character of Gerard by giving him some really overpowered abilities and making him just really larger than life in the literal sense and in the sense of his spiritual pressure. Gerard's ability has been described to be beyond reason, and it's similar to the powers that are possessed by individuals like Lil Barrow and even Hokyoku empowered Aizen. Gerard wasn't a character who could be killed by conventional means, as demonstrated by Kinpachi, Byakuya and Hitsugaya. Some fans have suggested that Kubo had wrought himself into a corner here and he couldn't find a way to properly kill off Gerard, hence why Yhwach had to intervene with his ability Ashvalen. I have no doubt that all of the scenes involving Gerard's character are going to be expanded upon within core 3 and 4 of the anime, so I'm highly looking forward to how the final battle against Gerard is going to pan out or what new scenes we'll be getting. Gerard's character already has a bit more screen time within core 2, which honestly I wasn't expecting, so I definitely have a lot of hopes for the future of the Bleach anime, and hopefully we'll get to see and learn more about Gerard Valkyri. So we've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What do you guys think about Sternritter M the Miracle? Do you think that Gerard was worthy of being the wielder of the Soul King's heart? Did you know that small detail about the Quincy cross in his head being his weak point? And were you aware of the several different inspirations from Norse mythology which were used for Gerard's character design? If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention about Gerard, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach character analysis video. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.